You keep obsessing and replaying it in your mind about why they left without a word, about who they left for, about when it stopped being real, or whether it ever was. You cannot stop replaying the deep level of betrayal you feel in every fiber of your being, and you hate yourself for it. But you cannot move on from something you do not yet understand. So today, I will give you 4 brutal truths that will finally set you free. Free from the obsession that has hijacked your mind, free from the silence they left you standing in, free from still loving someone who vanished without looking back, free from the shame of feeling like you were never enough. This video was made for exactly the moment you are in right now. This is why. Part 1. The wound. You wake up for 3 seconds before you remember, and then you remember. It hits you the same way it hit you on the first day, in the chest, behind the eyes, like something physical being pulled out of you that was never meant to come out. You tell yourself you are done replaying it. You tell yourself today is different. And then you are standing in the shower, or driving, or sitting in a meeting surrounded by people who have no idea, and it starts again. The moment you found out. The moment everything you thought was real stopped being real. Playing on a loop you did not choose and cannot switch off. Most people around you have already decided what this means. They say you are obsessing. They say you need to move on. They say it has been long enough. They are wrong. What is happening inside your brain right now is not weakness. It is not obsession. It is not a failure to heal. It is your nervous system doing something very specific, something with a name, something that neuroscience can explain with complete precision. And once you understand what it actually is, not what people tell you it is, something shifts. Stay with me, because what I am about to show you is going to reframe everything you think you know about why you cannot stop. Part 2. The reframe. Trauma psychologists have studied this specific experience for decades. The obsessive replay, the intrusive memories, the way a thought you did not invite arrives uninvited and will not leave. They gave it a name: betrayal trauma. And what separates betrayal trauma from ordinary heartbreak or grief is this one thing. Ordinary loss tells your brain that something is gone. Betrayal trauma tells your brain that something was never what it appeared to be. And those are completely different instructions. Because your brain does not just process the loss, it processes a collapse of its own judgment. The person who caused this was the same person your nervous system had learned to use as a reference point for safety, for reality, for what was true. When that person turned out to be something else entirely, your brain did not just lose someone it loved. It lost its ability to trust its own reading of the world. That is why the replay will not stop. Your brain is not torturing you. Your brain is doing the only thing it knows how to do with a threat it never saw coming. It is going back, over and over, searching for the signal it missed, building a pattern that will make sure it never misses it again. It is not weakness. It is protection. The problem is, the threat already happened, and the protection mechanism has no way of knowing that the searching is finished. That is what we are going to give it today. Drop this in the comments right now. What is happening to me has a name, and I am starting to understand it. Part 3. The Decoded. Here's the first thing nobody explains about the replay loop. It is not just replaying the moment you found out. It is replaying everything before it. The holiday 2 years ago where you were completely present and completely happy. The conversations where you told them things you had never told anyone. The ordinary Tuesday evenings that felt like enough, that felt like more than enough. You are standing inside those memories now and asking a question you cannot stop asking. Was any of it real? Were they already lying then? Were they thinking about someone else while you were completely there? Psychologists call this retrospective revision. Your brain is going back through every stored memory and reevaluating it through the lens of what you now know. You are not just grieving the future you thought you had. You are grieving the past you thought was real. That is a specific and devastating kind of loss, and it is almost never talked about. Because most people who have not been through it do not understand that betrayal does not just destroy the future. It reaches backwards. It contaminates the archive. But here's the pivot, and stay with this because it matters. The memories you had were real. Your experience of them was real. What you felt was real. The fact that they were deceiving you does not retroactively remove your reality from those moments. You were there, fully. That is not something they can take back. They were not fully there. You were. That distinction is the beginning of something important. Drop this in the comments. The love I gave was real. Nothing they did can make it not have been real. But there's something else happening in the replay loop. Something darker than the memory contamination. Something that explains why you still defend them. Why you still protect them, even to people who can clearly see what happened. Stay with me. There is a reason you still love them. Not a weakness, not a failure, a reason. A biological, neurological, completely documented reason. When you are in a close relationship with someone over a sustained period of time, your brain does something involuntary. It builds what attachment researchers call a trauma bond. Not because the relationship was abusive, simply because it was close. Simply because you were fully present in it. Your nervous system wired that person into its architecture, into the part of the brain that processes safety, that processes home. Rewiring that does not happen because you decide it should. It does not happen because enough time passes. It does not happen because you understand intellectually that they do not deserve your loyalty. It happens through a process, a specific process. And the first step of that process is understanding that loving someone who destroyed you is not a reflection of your weakness. It is a reflection of how completely you were present in that relationship. The depth of the bond you feel right now is a direct measurement of how fully you loved. That is not a small thing. Drop this in the comments. I am not weak for still feeling this. I am human, and I am starting to understand why. Part 4. The mirror turn. Now, I need to say something harder, something that is not about them, something about you. The person who betrayed you did not choose you randomly. People who are capable of sustained deception inside intimate relationships are extraordinarily skilled at one specific thing: identifying people with a high capacity for loyalty, for depth, for loving without reservation. You were chosen because of your ability to trust completely. That is not a flaw. That is one of the rarest and most valuable qualities a human being can possess.
But here is the dark truth that sits underneath it. Somewhere along the way, before you knew what you know now, there were moments where something felt wrong. A small inconsistency, a story that did not quite fit, an instinct you talked yourself out of because you did not want to be the kind of person who doubted someone they loved. You overrode the signal, not because you were naive, because you were loyal, because your default was to protect the relationship rather than interrogate it. And that pattern, that specific pattern of overriding your own instinct to protect someone else's comfort, is the one thing worth examining when you are ready. Not with blame, with curiosity. Because that pattern existed before them, and understanding it is the one thing that ensures what happened to you never happens again. That is not about them anymore. That is entirely yours. Drop this in the comments. I trust my instincts. I am learning to listen to them. Part 5. The closing loop. You came into this video in a loop. You are leaving it with something that loop never had. A name for what your brain is doing. An understanding of why the love will not switch off. A word for what happened to your memories. And the beginning of the most important question you will ever ask yourself coming out of this. Not why did they do it, but who am I becoming now that I know? That question does not have a quick answer, but it has a real one. And it is the most important work you will ever do. The replay loop does not stop overnight, but it stops faster when you understand what it is actually trying to do. Your brain is not your enemy. It is trying to protect you. Give it something better to work with than the same loop on repeat. Give it understanding. That is what this channel is built for. Next video, we go deeper. We look at the specific psychological profile of the person who is capable of doing what was done to you. Not to make you angrier, to make you clearer. Because clarity is the one thing the loop cannot survive. Subscribe if you are not already. And drop this one final time in the comments. I survived something most people will never understand. And I am just getting started.